Hello and welcome to CTV News Across Canada for Wednesday, November 5th. We've got the top local stories from coast to coast, stories that affect you and the country. Thanks for joining us.
Nearly 7 months after getting elected, the Carney government has dropped its first budget, a 406-page book it promises will build Canada strong. Over the next 5 years, Ottawa intends to spend $141 billion in new measures that they project will bring in $51.2 billion in savings. Together, those measures will take Canada's deficit to $78.3 billion this year, dropping to $56.6 billion by 2029-2030.
It's well within the range that people had expected, and people also understand that 75% of what we recorded this year, you would have seen that at the very beginning, was to, defend our sovereignty.
One of the biggest expenditures, defense, with $81.8 billion in spending over 5 years. There's $20.4 billion for the military's recruitment and retention problems, $10.9 billion for upgrades, and $17.9 billion to expand new military capabilities, including procuring new armored vehicles.
It's a real big injection of money, but really interestingly, they don't provide any annual investment or expenditure total. There's no articulation of where year by year that would take us as a share of GDP.
There's also $51 billion over 10 years for a new Build Community Strong Fund to help fund new infrastructure projects, $1.7 billion for an international talent attraction strategy, and $13 billion over 5 years starting in 2025-2026 for Build Canada Homes. That includes $2.8 billion for Indigenous housing. One way Ottawa is bringing down the deficit through changes to the public service. Ottawa wants to shed 28,000 public sector jobs within the next 3 years through cuts, attrition, and a move to incentivize voluntary leave and early retirement. How much that alone will save and where the cuts are coming from is unclear. Ottawa is also hoping to save $60 billion over 5 years through modernization and government efficiencies.
Canada's new government is spending less on government operations. Canadians understand that. You need to put the house in order.
But aside from a promise to review bank fees and to automatically file taxes for lower-income Canadians, experts say there's little that will help with affordability.
I think if you're the average Canadian, you're looking at this budget, you're going to say, well, it doesn't change my life very much. I'm concerned about affordability, I'm concerned about housing costs, and lots of concerns. It doesn't really address any of those things specifically.
Instead, many economists say the budget's aim is to create a better environment for business through measures like a so-called productivity super deduction. The budget also sets the stage for the elimination of the oil and gas emissions cap, a move the industry and the provincial government in Alberta have been calling for as a way to encourage more investment in the sector.
This is a budget that focuses on capital investment because of the context that we are in right now. The economy is quite weak and is under attack because of the tariff issues, and we have a significant uncertainty in the Canadian economy, so businesses are not investing.
For the first time, the budget has been separated into capital investment and operational spending. By 2028-2029, this document anticipates that the operational budget will have a surplus of $1.7 billion. Annie Bergeron-Oliver, CTV News, Ottawa.
A working group has been launched between British Columbia and Ottawa to support the forestry industry. New Brunswick MP and Minister responsible for Canada-U.S. trade, Dominic LeBlanc, was at the announcement.
Obviously, softwood lumber continues to be something that we had been raising with the Americans. We're not going to wait because the hour is grave. The moment is serious for us to continue to work together.
But New Brunswick was not invited to play a part.
That was a provincial initiative on behalf of British Columbia. New Brunswick has been advocating for support on softwood lumber and engaging with our industry to talk about what they need specifically and pushing the federal government to provide solutions that meet our needs here in New Brunswick.
Forestry employs over 24,000 people in New Brunswick. 3 weeks ago today, the U.S. placed another 10% tariff on the existing 35%. Holt has said job losses are looming, but told reporters Ottawa has promised more supports are coming, potentially in Mark Carney's first budget.
We're pushing for other kinds of supports, so something I'm going to be looking for tonight.
The industry says the impact is starting to be felt. Some U.S. mills are no longer buying.
There's a lot of mills that have bought wood traditionally from Western New Brunswick in the form of roundwood that are no longer even accepting wood.
He's very well aware that the most forest-dependent province in Canada it is New Brunswick.
Natural Resources Minister John Herron says New Brunswick is certainly being included in the conversation with Ottawa to try and find a solution. Laura Brown, CTV News, Fredericton.
In Côte St. Luc, an important lesson is playing out.
Every vote counts.
At first, it appeared Mitchell Brownstein had been re-elected mayor of Côte St. Luc with a 50-vote lead. But a revised vote count published last night shows David Torjman has won by a single vote. Brownstein's campaign chair says the revised figures don't match their figures, and they'll be asking for a recount. Torjman says he's not surprised.
I think that it's their right. I think what it goes to show is that every vote counts.
But for some voters, it speaks to a bigger problem in municipal politics.
I am terribly disappointed in the turnout, not only in Côte St. Luc, but it seems the whole city.
And we could see more recounts playing out across the island. In Montreal East, 2 of the candidates are tied. Political analyst Justine McIntyre says sometimes the population is simply divided on local issues, and voter turnout can make all the difference.
Of course, when you have a low voter turnout, you have fewer people voting. The margins are going to be much smaller between victory and defeat.
It's very disappointing.
Mary Darros has been a city councillor for Park Extension for 27 years. She lost her seat by 6 votes. Darros points to obstacles such as inaccessible polling stations and voter cards left in lobbies of apartment buildings during the Canada Post strike.
So people coming in not knowing what was on the floor, there were no names on those envelopes, just an address.
Darros says she'll also be asking for a recount. McIntyre says in some cases it could also come down to shifting demographics as people get priced out of areas like the Plateau and seek more affordable options in neighborhoods like Park X.
They're bringing with them their values and their ideas for the city and how the city should be developed.
In the meantime, some Montrealers will have to wait to know for sure just who will represent them for the next 4 years. Angela McKenzie, CTV News.
London and Cobourg were 2 Ontario locations where workers were off the job Monday. Cup W hasn't said how long the stoppage will last. The union is also refusing to deliver flyers in many areas across the province. They continue to press the point that Canada needs a strong national postal service and can't rely on the private sector.
And don't tell me that UPS or Pure Later or any of those companies go to the small areas. They only go to the small areas for a high cost. So we're still in the fight of our life.
Mark Platt is the union's national director for the Ontario region. He told those gathered on the picket line in front of the main London sorting station that discussions are underway this week that could result in resumed negotiations. Platt says the corporation wants to use only part-time workers on weekends, which the union opposes. They're looking for protections for full-time employees.
Canada Post has put out a narrative that we're against weekend delivery. The union is absolutely for weekend delivery, and all through negotiations in the last year, we support weekend delivery. We're trying to make the positions on weekends, some of them full-time. They want to have only exclusive part-time, 15-hour-a-week jobs on the weekends.
Platt also refutes the narrative that the union hasn't been willing to support a shift away from letter delivery.
Parcel revenues have outstripped letter mail revenues after 2016. So the union's been part of that change, and we've been working through that change with our letter carriers and our plants for almost 10 years now. So it's a false narrative that we don't get where letter mail is going.
Leaders with Cup W Local 566, which represents more than 800 London area workers, says they remain determined to get a contract with job protections.
Our struggle continues. We are fighting for a fair collective agreement for the last 2 years.
The Retail Council of Canada says the rotating strikes and intermittent flyer delivery create a volatility their members are finding difficult to navigate. Joseph says the goal is to get Canada Post back to the table with limited impact on customers.
We want the post office to run smoothly. We don't want to disturb the mail operations fully.
Analysts say Canada Post has lost more than $4 billion since 2018. The corporation received a $1 billion cash injection from the federal government earlier this year to keep operations afloat. The government has signaled that a significant restructuring is needed that may include an end to door-to-door mail delivery. Jerry Dewan, CTV News. 'Cause 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 'c
Another 40 shelter spaces are being installed in the city of Barrie as the county of Simcoe launches their winter response strategy.
So this will be 40 individual beds that will be dedicated specifically for individuals currently experiencing homelessness.
The county walking away from previous policies that saw warming centers open only if the temperatures drop below -10.
We will open these warming centers until the end of April daily. So individuals will have bedded programs to come into overnight, and some programs will actually run 24/7 as well.
The modular center will be opening in the next few weeks, bringing a total of 168 beds to the county. This as the city of Barrie continues to be under a state of emergency, saying there are 607 people linked to homelessness in the community.
166 of these individuals are in shelters. 47 have been identified as a term that the county uses as couch surfing. And then there's 340 that are considered to be in their temporary family shelter program. And then, of course, the 54 that are in encampments, so that equates to the 607.
According to Schmidt, the city has dismantled 20 active encampments, with 15 still remaining on city properties.
Besides the more significant sites, Malcaster, Bradford Street, and Victoria Street, the majority of the sites have either been identified as abandoned following investigation or were locations containing debris that only required cleanup efforts.
81% of individuals have a live referral into the Heart Hub. We've got folks that are seeking to go home if it's not home here. We've got other folks that are seeking shelter and home here.
The mayor saying everyone will get the help they need if they want it.
We're not going to leave folks hanging unless they choose not to get help. We are going to provide every person who wants help the help they need to get back on their feet.
Again, those who are living at the Milligan's Pond encampment have been put on notice and asked to leave. It remains unclear when city bylaw will take action. Reporting live in Barrie, I'm Luke Samard.
City of Ottawa is writing to inform you of a privacy breach.
Ottawa resident Laura Woldridge says she is fearful of her personal information being exposed after a data breach on a City of Ottawa website.
I had done some surveys, and I also had gone on it to apply to go to make reservations, like for swimming lessons, library stuff, things like that.
The city says on October 3rd, a My Service Ottawa account used an automated program to access service requests. And due to a system error, users who knew specific service request numbers could access requests that were not their own.
They had said there was a breach done on October the 3rd. Yesterday was November the 3rd. So I'm concerned as did they know about this on October the 3rd, and why did they wait 30 days to tell me so?
The city says approximately 2,454 users had their information exposed, which included email addresses and physical addresses associated with the service request. The city says no financial, password, or other sensitive data was accessed.
It's making me aware of using any service account for any level of government now. You can't trust them with your personal information anymore. They have to take responsibility.
In a statement, the city says it has taken measures to ensure similar incidents do not happen again, writing, "All required notifications have taken place, which includes notices to affected individuals and the Information and Privacy Commissioner of Ontario."
They've offered us absolutely nothing, just to watch our emails and contact them if anything is suspicious. Don't open any attachments, where other companies that have breaches would offer you monitoring for 2 years.
Dylan Dyson, CTV News.
Time is ticking on taking down Waterloo Region's 27 speed cameras. The province's bill to ban the enforcement method passed its final hurdle yesterday, after months of threats by Premier Doug Ford.
What's unreasonable is a total cash grab, and we know speed cameras do not work.
Now the region is working on a plan to bring them offline.
Right now, staff are reviewing the legislation. They are going to see what the implications are. They will come back to council with the report.
The ban officially takes effect next Friday, November 14th. As for when staff will report back to council,
we don't have a timeline yet.
Questions looming around what the process will look like, how much it will cost, and who will pay.
I would love for the province to say, you know what, the region of Waterloo is getting X millions of dollars, but until there is something definitive, we have no idea where these funds are going to come from.
The province says it will pay for and provide temporary signs to municipalities before November 14th, replacing the cameras with other measures warning drivers to slow down. The plan is to add flashing lights by next September, but not everyone is convinced.
I want to see data that works. That's what I'm looking for. Is that data, does that data work to show that bigger signs are going to help slow people down?
Waterloo Regional Police say they're also reviewing the legislation and will step up their road safety efforts.
What does this mean for policing? How do we move ahead for enforcement and education and driving down unsafe behavior on our roadways?
The region says the cameras will be active until the law takes effect next Friday, November 14th, which means drivers can still get ticketed if they're caught going over the speed limit.
Adult entertainment spaces / wedding venues? Can't make this up.
A surprising exchange in Ontario's legislature to date based on a new report about this club and the province's controversial $2.5 billion skills development fund.
Did the Premier actually give $10 million of taxpayer money to the owners of a strip club?
The Minister of Labour.
No. To get from government money to this club is going to take a couple steps, so bear with us.
The first, records show the Labour Ministry gave about $9.8 million in grants to a numbered company with the same director as an agency called the Social Equality and Inclusion Centre. That says it supports women re-entering the workforce and provides retraining to women who may need to enter a new line of work. According to an article in the Trillium, that agency was partners in applying for the Skills Development Fund with the Toronto Event Centre and Grand Bazaar, run by Zlatko Starkovsky. He's operated an event venue out of the Horticulture Building on Toronto's exhibition grounds for at least a decade. In September this year, Starkovsky opened up FYE Ultra Club, which describes itself on social media as a nightclub for those where discretion is a must. City staff licensed it as an adult entertainment club, a category often used for strip clubs. In a statement, Starkovsky said there are no strippers there, and no SDF funding has been used for any purpose related to FYE Ultra Club, including the training and compensation of any burlesque dancers, aerialists, or any performers involved in the new FYE Ultra Club project. While the Social Equality and Inclusion Centre says it has not been and is not involved in the new FYE Ultra Club pilot entertainment project in any training and financial capacity. All of this as Labour Minister David Piccini faces an Integrity Commissioner complaint over the Skills Development Fund, and he's facing his third week of resignation calls.
Every day we have more headlines. I don't understand. I have been asking myself why this Minister of Labour is still sitting in his seat and why the Premier hasn't fired him.
That is 100% absolutely false. Just dig into it, do your due diligence, and you'll find that. It may sound real, good theatrics for the Liberals, but it's absolutely false. We're training over 700,000 people. Our goal is to hit 1 million people and give them an opportunity that they might otherwise not have.
Hoping the critics of the fund will move on. John Woodward, CTV News.
Luigi Iafolla picked this pre-owned 2021 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited Rubicon plug-in hybrid in order to make his daily commute cheaper.
With this vehicle, I figure I had the best of both worlds, being a plug-in hybrid and then being able to take it on long trips if I needed so.
One of the things that drew him to the Jeep was Manitoba's electric vehicle rebate program, offering up to $4,000 back. He did his homework and the model he bought was eligible according to the province's own website. After the sale in April, he went to Manitoba Public Insurance to check his VIN.
I tried to punch it in and then it said that it came back invalid, that my vehicle was too old.
But this April 30th, 2025 list of eligible vehicles shows his model. He wrote several emails asking for the $2,500 rebate to be honored, but they said no because only vehicles younger than 4 model years can be claimed. So CTV News asked the province and he got the result he wanted. A spokesperson said, quote, Manitoba Environment and Climate Change has reached out to the individual in question to advise him that his purchase remains eligible for the rebate. Iafolla is happy things worked out for him, but he would like to see some changes to the program.
I would say go back maybe to 5 years and make it reasonable, because if you're going to put a certain price limit on it, cars are getting more expensive, especially EVs. I understand it based on budgets and funds. They only have so much that they can support. It's great they're doing this. this, but I would like to see it expanded a little bit more.
Harrison Shin, CTV News, Winnipeg.
43-year-old Mohammed Massoum is on trial alongside co-accused Sohail Haider. In 2023, RCMP charged the men with human trafficking a Bangladeshi woman to work at restaurants in Gull Lake, Tisdale, and Elrose. Massoum also faces sexual assault charges. Earlier in the trial, the woman, who cannot be named because of a publication ban, testified she agreed to work at Massoum's restaurant for $1,000 a month. She said she was scheduled for 10-hour shifts 5 days a week, but often worked longer hours. The woman testified that one day, while they were alone in the restaurant, Massoum followed her into the cooler, hugged her from behind, and kissed her neck and shoulders. She said the next day, he took her for a drive, and then she said he sexually assaulted her. On the stand, Massoum testified he did not touch her and disputed the woman's account of the cooler incident, saying it was too small for two people to fit inside. He testified he never paid the woman because he said she was not employed at the restaurant. Massoum said Haider asked him to let the woman stay with his family for a few months. He told court she initially lived in his Tisdale apartment before moving into another unit he rented across the hall. He said he gave her $1,000 at Haider's request and said he later learned it was meant to help with immigration fees. Massoum has yet to be cross-examined. The trial continues Thursday. Stacey Hine, CTV News, Rosetown.
They broke my husband. They broke him, and nobody seems to care enough to want to fix him.
Angela Smith has watched her husband's mental health deteriorate to a desperate level over his 20 years with the Calgary Police Service.
We're unable to sleep in the same room because it's just not safe. His nightmares are bad.
He sought help in 2021 but was back at work a year later, which she says was too soon. In 2023, he went on another leave and was diagnosed with PTSD, impacting the whole family, including their 6-year-old daughter.
She thinks I'm the funny one in our family, and I'm not the funny one, and that's heartbreaking to me because she doesn't get to see him the way he was.
Smith says it was a long battle for the Workers' Compensation Board to approve her husband's claim so he could receive treatment. In Alberta, PTSD is presumed to be work-related for first responders, meaning they're automatically covered unless proven otherwise. But advocates say that's not happening.
There's nothing but denials, red tape, bureaucracy, and sometimes many of our first responders are being forced back to work.
The organization says of the 792 psychological injury claims filed by Alberta first responders in 2021, only 565 were accepted. WCB refutes the interpretation of the numbers, saying claims under presumptive PTSD legislation would only be denied if there isn't a confirmed diagnosis or if medical evidence shows it's not work-related, though some experts say that's not the case.
WCB has adopted a different definition of post-traumatic stress disorder, and so is disallowing a number of claims despite first responders who've been diagnosed with PTSD by a physician or by a psychologist.
Smith just wants first responders who are suffering, like her husband, to receive the care they desperately need.
It seems that the goal is to get them back to work at all costs. We're the ones that are paying the cost on that.
Terry Fikowski, CTV News, Calgary.